Hi, everybody. It's Pixy here with you tonight, and well, it's a time for a good thoughts video. And I has something I has a thoughts about. Now, in a previous video, I took the time to talk about my favorite Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, which was awesome. Now I'm going to talk about one that was definitely not on my favorites list, but was fun enough to watch, and I did just rewatch it on Netflix recently because, we're still in lockdown here, 2020. And was running out of fun stuff to rewatch and hadn't watched it in a while. So, Enterprise. All right. Uh, this series definitely had its ups and downs, and probably more downs than ups, which is why it's definitely not on my top of the line list. Uh, First off, we had just got off of Voyager. We experienced warp 10. We got through the Borg. We were bad arse. We just had some good movies with the next gen crew and the Enterprise E. We took on the Remans with the super death black Reman doomity doom ship. It was awesome. Okay, we had a lot of cool stuff happening. All right, let's go back to what phasers were doing. What? We're going to go pre-original series. We're going to go before that. What? No. No. So we went from Warp 10 to having the Warp 4, or was it Warp 5 engine, which they never got up to Warp 5 most of the show, so it was kind of no. The whole first season, like any Star Trek show, was the Get to Know Your Neighbors season. And unfortunately, we weren't just getting to our neighbors. We had to get to know our weapons. We had to get to know our actual neighbors, the first aliens you were meeting. And it felt like such a crawl. Taking time to explain what phasers were. Where the audience, we already know what phasers are. We're good. We've had Star Trek since, like, wasn't it the 70s the original Star Trek came out? We've had phasers for like ever. And now we're into the late 90s, I think it was, when this show finally came out. And it was early 2000s. It was around then. And now we're introducing phasers. We have those. We know what those are. We're good. You don't have to. Yeah, okay, we gotta waste time on this. Oh, we got an angst over a Vulcan being on the ship for most of the first season. Because the Vulcans don't trust the humans and weren't letting them have technology and stifling their advancement for 100 years. Drone, 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 drone. Yeah, first season was very... bleh. Second season picked up a little bit. We definitely had a lot more going on, a lot more good action stuff, and a lot less get to know your neighbors time. Anytime it's like, and this is Ensign so and so. Let's learn about Ensign so and so. We're gonna spend the whole day on that. Oh, that always just that flattens an episode. But season 2, we already got to know our neighbors, so we had some passably good activity. Not even like season 1 of Next Gen level of story fun. It really felt just so bland. Now, to be fair though, we finally picked up as we got season 3 happening. We had an actual flowing plot for an entire season. We had the Xindi attack stuff thing. Yeah, maybe some spoilers here, so spoiler alert. So the beginning of this season is this like ball probe thing flies up to Earth, shoots a big honking laser, kills 300 million humans or something like, or 3 million humans or something like that. Part of which being a slash through Florida. They take out much of Florida. Hoping the mouse is okay. Anyway, so we took out Florida and a bunch of stuff. The engineer was from Florida. His family got killed. He's all PO'd and raring for action. And this whole season is completely based around taking the Enterprise to the home world of this multi-species group, the Xindi, who had the arboreals, the ape-like ones, the reptilians, the insects, the aquatics, and the long-dead avians. They were already dead before the show started, so we don't get to ever see them. But they were all races that developed on the same planet. And as you'd guess, the ones that are the easiest makeup to put on, that had like nostril holes extra on their forehead, they were on all the time. Second most often was the guys that looked like Planet of the Apes rejects. They were on pretty often because they were probably pretty easy to prosthetic snap on. Next up were the reptilians, the one of the more eviler sections. They were on moderately, but nowhere near as the other two. They appear to have a more complicated makeup process and prosthetics, so they didn't get to come on very often, and they seemed way interesting. And nextly, not lastly yet, the insects, which appeared to be either puppet or CG. I think they were like CG mostly, so they were on pretty rarely. And they looked cool. They looked like, well, it's proper aliens for once. Because Star Trek usually looks like a human with the butt on their forehead or something. Or pointy ears. Or some other just simple attribute added on to a human. These were bug people. They looked like praying mantis people. So they were rarely on. And lastly, we had the aquatics, which were almost definitely CG. Never in the physical room with anyone else because they lived in water and breathed water like a fish. So they were always kind of in a fish tank in the background whenever they were on, period. So, disappointing in this sense that the species I thought would be the coolest to have a lot of interaction with, the aquatics and the insectoids, rarely accessed. Like the few times the aquatics are on, they usually would just be like, "Oh, there's some from the humans on the scene. We're just gonna gas him, make him fall asleep. We don't want to talk to him." Like, it wasn't until like the very end of the season we had any good interaction with them. Sad, sad, sad. Now, in general, when the whole going to the Xindi planet, there was like this messed up space that they had to go through. It was created by these other aliens from another dimension that's trying to convert our dimension into livable space for them. So they sent these sphere things, and they're converting our space, which really messes with warp drive, makes people get all like lesions and stuff on their face and all kinds of yuckiness. Drives Vulcans crazy apparently, or at least the material you need to shield from it drives them crazy and makes them go hoo hoo. So we have now messed up space that's making the warp drive mess up. All these big sphere things. We have other random races that are somehow surviving and or playing scavenger through this environment. So that's pretty cool. A few dumb episodes, but I can't say I made it through any season of any Star Trek without at least one or two, duds. So that's that. But mostly the entire assault on Zindutopia was really on. You'd have actually good diplomacy, getting to know each of the different races that you actually got to have on scene. Uh, Convincing some of them to be good, convincing some of them to fight against the other ones to stop the idea that they actually wanted to blow up Earth because someone from the future told them that was something they had to do. That was the whole point of this. And that little first, golf ball that took a swipe out of Florida, it was going there to test the basis of the weapon, and then they were going to send a bigger one to make a bigger hole, basically blow the planet up. In the end, really tight season. I was really sad to see it be done because it felt good. It felt complete. It felt like we had a good story plot, a good reason for things. The ship got damaged throughout time and wasn't getting just immediately repaired. We were running on reduced crew. If someone died, we didn't just have new Ensign Ricky shipped in. We're short an Ensign Ricky from there out. We finally were getting some cooler weapons. We finally got proton torpedoes. We were getting somewhere. And then we hit season 4. I can't completely hate on season 4, but I can't love on it either. After we had a season 3 like that, season 4 was really a letdown. We had a lot of 2 and 3 part episodes, which aren't bad to have sprinkled in, say in a Next Gen or a Deep Space Nine scenario where you have maybe the carryover episode as a 2-parter, or once all you just happen to have a really good story that you got a 2-parter in there. This just felt like they couldn't figure out how to make a story happen in 40 some minutes that an actual episode what turns into be with commercials. So we had a lot of multi-part episodes. Time travel back into the Nazi period of Earth for a while. That lasted several episodes. Kind of stuck in the past, fixing some other time traveling aliens problems. We had a Negaverse couple of episodes. The anti-happiness alternate dimension that exists in Star Trek world. We went there, and I wouldn't be mad at it if it had any bearing on the normality. Deep Space Nine had a good attribute of using the alternate universe as kind of just random plot points. We would go there, or someone would come from there. We'd have some interaction. It was like visiting yet another group of aliens that just happened to always be in the same physical space, just in a different dimension. This, we were just going around with the Nega crew. And the only time they ever interacted with normal space, normal reality verse, we had moved into the future to around the time of original series. And they took over a Constitution class ship. I think it was the Defiant. I can't remember, or the Reliant. One of those kind of dopey blah names. They took over that Constitution class ship and were fighting against somebody in the future. So it didn't really have any impact. And then it just ended. We went back to normality. We also had kind of a running plot of we were starting the Federation here in the season. And it happened, but it just felt like, yeah, this could have been season 1 or 2. We didn't need to hold off on this. We could have been doing this during those other times. And then I'd spent this on something more interesting as a main plot. And I think the last main plot we had was there was a anti-alien racism thing going on, and we had a colony on Mars and some, you know, people that don't like other people coming out and, racist D and species D, whatever you want to say here, going to assault Earth and take out the Vulcan consulate. Like, I'm not saying I like racism, but I felt like, again, Deep Space Nine did a good job of addressing it several times. The whole, even on, just even saying episodes I was not a big fan of but understood, like the Cisco going back in time and being attached to this writer that was writing Deep Space Nine, and he was black and he was making a black captain. This was back in the 50s or whatever, and that was controversial, and it may not have been my favorite episodes. Not because I was against the anti-racism. I felt like I was just like, I'm trying to watch Star Trek, and you're throwing me a 50s writing drama. This is not what I signed up for. Not what I'm here for. I'm here for space pew pew, not pen go scribble scribble. But at least they addressed race in a direct fashion, multiple times in multiple ways. Generally not overly in your face. In fact, one of the best reactions was not even in one of those time travel episodes. It was about the the Vegas in the 50s with the Vic Fontaine. His hotel was taken over. Cisco didn't want to go into the holodeck and help because of how people of his race were treated in Vegas back then, where his girlfriend convinced him this isn't Vegas like it was. It's Vegas like it should have been. And that's what convinced him to go in and actually help. Uh, and I feel like, yeah, he showed his opposition. He helped his girlfriend helped him get past that, helped him experience something and get to be cool and have fun, and not fear that he was not being protective of history and of his racial background, all that fun stuff. That's a long way around the block, but I appreciate how they did that. This felt just like, yeah, we don't like Vulcans. Why? Because we don't like Vulcans. What they do? There weren't slaves that stood up against you, and there wasn't a major history other than the fact they did actually help the humans get technology. But they held us back. They helped you go forward. Kind of lost there. So that whole end plot there really didn't go with me. One of the last episodes is of Enterprise was in the Enterprise D with Riker and Troy, who are apparently the only people on the Enterprise D at the moment. Might be a Deadpool, and the fact that we only had Colossus and Megasonic, what's her face. I'm like, oh, can't afford any other Star Trekians, can ya? Nope. Barely afford sets in the Enterprise. So we had just kind of like them going through and experiencing the last few days of the other show, and it's like kind of trailed off to a not end, like a we're done kind of thing. Yeah, season 4 was okay, but most of the episodes were either meh or eh. And it happened. And that's where it ended. Unlike Next Gen, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, that all made 7 solid seasons. Original series made like 2.5 when it was canceled. But when we went to Next Gen, we had a solid formula. Next Gen itself probably would have kept going if it had not gotten so expensive. That was much of why Next Gen ended. It was because it was getting, continuous annual raises for these actors. was starting to get a little bit high. But hey, they did a good job on all of those, so I can't complain. Uh, so yeah, not my favorite Star Trek. Not my least favorite. I actually have the hardest time trying to watch original series. I have never made it all the way through that. But this would be the series that I like the least that I've actually successfully watched. So that's saying something. And I do occasionally like watching it again, especially for season 3. Season 3 is awesome. If you can at least get the gist of stuff up to season 3, maybe see a dozen episodes before that of any of seasons 1 and 2, you'll be ready for season 3. At least know all the characters. You're ready to go. Go forth into Xindi space and have a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Uh, Definitely want to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the little dingly bell. It makes YouTube happy and it'll alert you whenever there's new videos. My Patreon link is in the description below. And per the request on one of my Patreons, I was requested to blow kisses at the camera, and I'm going to do that some more here. Mwah! Mwah! Because it doesn't hurt anything. And that's that. So thank you again for watching. This has been Pixie. I've been enjoying your presence and liking to talk to you about Star Treks. Granted, it was about one of my least favorite ones, but at least it's something I'm knowledgeable about. So I hope you all have a Trekkie rest of your day and keep being pink and fluffy.